Hey, what's up, world travelers? Eric here with the Cards and Comps YouTube channel. And today I want to talk about three amazing trips that I took in the last year that was worth over $3,800, all paid for by comps from the casinos. So if you're interested in that, stick around and we're just getting started. First of all, there's strategy involved in getting these comps and using everything effectively. So I treat gambling as a way to get discounted travel. I don't treat it as a way to win money. However, obviously I want to win money, but the odds are in the casino's favor statistically. So it's very difficult to do, but you can get the edge of losing as little money as possible and getting awesome comps from the casinos and especially from the cruise line. Also, casinos will give you free airfare. That's what I'm going to be talking about today. 3 trips where the casino paid for airfare and hotels for basically the entire trip. So it's just a great value. Another strategy is the gambling budget. So each gambling budget that I have for each trip is based on the value that I put on the trip. So for example, a flight to New Orleans and 3 nights hotel stay at the Caesars in New Orleans, I put about $1,000 on that value. That would be including a $250 flight or $300 flight from Birmingham to New Orleans for 2 people round trip. And then 3 nights is worth about $400, especially with the resort fees. It's probably more than that. I didn't look it up, but I think $1,000 is fair for that trip. And so that is my gambling budget. So the gambling budget will make sure if I don't go past that, then I'll basically can't lose. Worst case scenario is I'm lost the amount that the trip would have cost in the first place. So I think that's very important if you want to make sure that you're gambling responsibly. So the other thing I do is I keep track of the wins and losses. I keep a spreadsheet of every trip and how much money that I win or lose. I've been doing that actually since 2016. So you want to be conscious of where you're at, and you definitely don't want to be lying to yourself, gambling too much, or having a problem. So you need to be very deliberate about keeping track of it. I think that's very, very important. Another way to help keep track of it is use a gambling wallet. So this is my gambling wallet. It's sort of a novelty wallet. I got one off Amazon. I'll put a link for one if you're interested. But it's good to keep your money separate. So, for example, for New Orleans, I have $1,000 for that trip, and I don't want to lose more than that. And the money that comes out of that is only gambling expenses, and I use it also for tips to like cocktail waitresses and tipping dealers and such. So that's the only other things. All other expenses comes out of my real money wallet, and so that's separate. I do use other things like reward points and stuff when I go to the casino, trying to keep the discounts as much as possible, but that's a whole nother category. And a lot of times I don't really count additional food and stuff because they can be so variable. Obviously, there's high-end restaurants that you can go to, or you can pack a peanut butter and jelly sandwich if you wanted to. So there's a big spectrum there, and but I just try to maximize my points. And I'll give you some examples of, especially this last trip. So I was trying to keep track of that. I primarily play blackjack when I go to the casinos, and that's because it has a very low house edge, especially compared to slot machines and other things. So I want to keep that uh, expected value as high as possible for each bet that I take. And that's going to give me the best opportunity to lose as little bit of money as possible or to even have a win. Playing blackjack it is harder to get comps stuff. However, it is easier to not lose money. So that's not at least the way I play. And if you like, I'd be happy to do another video that goes into depth how I play blackjack, how I learn playing by the book. So to maximize my play against the casino. And also I have some betting strategies, which I think make a difference that helps take advantage of when you have a good deck of cards that you can take advantage of it and profit from. So keeping a budget and keeping a gambling wallet is just as important as not carrying a balance on a credit card. So apparently 47% of people carry a balance on credit cards, or at least at some point in time. And that's how credit card companies make money. And that's how you lose value in the dollars that you have. And you're not going to be able to travel as far if you're paying extra for every expense that you have out there. What you want to do is get those bonus points without paying that interest. In the same way, you need to keep track of your spending, keep track of your gambling budget for each trip, and keep into a spreadsheet. I think it's extremely important, and I couldn't imagine not doing that. So the 3 trips I took this time were all using Caesar's Air, and just want to briefly go over the advantages of having a Caesar's card, at least for me, and Caesar's rewards. In the past, I was able to use a limited business earner card to get diamond status with Wyndham, and then that transfers over to Caesar's. And with Caesar's, also one of the benefits is you get $100 free celebration dinner a year. You get trips to the Bahamas. Well, you get paid hotel stays in Bahamas at Atlantis as a diamond member, and I've done that a number of times. And I can go into details about that. I actually have another trip coming up with 5 free nights and no resort fees for Atlantis, but that's a little different. There's some more details there, but I'll be happy to go into that as well. Caesars has 2 kinds of points. You get tier points, that's how you earn status, and you get reward points, and that's basically comp dollars. The big takeaway here is that some restaurants, Caesars properties, will redeem points at a 2-to-1 ratio, which basically makes each reward point worth a half a penny. So right now, you want a 1-to-1 exchange rate, and that makes each worth about a penny. And just to let you know, Wyndham Hotels is a partner with Caesars, and the points guy values Wyndham points at 1.1 cent each. So I think that's actually a decent value. You can transfer points over to Caesars and then use those to spend money in the casino. I do that all the time. So I think that's a good way. I was able to get a number of meals this week for free using my reward points. So that's really nice. Another benefit of having a Caesar's Diamond, some places where they do not have a Diamond Lounge or a Laurel Lounge, where they have free drinks and free food, which is really nice. I really enjoy those, but they don't have them in Las Vegas anymore. But they've replaced that with usually 2 free drinks if you have a Diamond card. At least that's what it is in New Orleans. When I was in Lake Tahoe earlier this year, it was 3 drinks, and one of those could have been a Starbucks. So I did take advantage of that every day, which is nice. And anyway, there's lots of perks. And of course, the biggest perk is probably no resort fees on hotel stays, which is great. If you're interested in how I earned diamond status this year, you can't get it from being a Wyndham Diamond anymore, at least from the credit card. You'd have to earn it through Wyndham. If you do that, you can transfer that over to Caesars. This year, I had to earn the credits, and I did it in about 2 hours playing video poker at the Horseshoe in Las Vegas. So I can tell you more about that if you're interested, and all the details and the preparation that I went through in order to be ready to make sure I was confident when I was making these big bets that they were actually a good value, and I had an opportunity to win, and I had an opportunity to get all the value from a Caesar's Diamond Plus card. So let's get to the trips. Just gotten back from going to New Orleans, and it was a 3-night comp trip to New Orleans. This included airfare. It did cost $100 for the admin fee, and I used reward points that I already had in advance at a 1-to-1 ratio at Bobby Burgers and the pizza cake place inside the hotel. And it was all very good. I really enjoyed it. The flights were on a chartered flight. So everybody on the flight was all going to Caesars in New Orleans. When we got there, the nice thing is when we checked our bags, they were checked through to the hotel room. So after we got to the hotel room, they actually served us hurricanes, and we enjoyed those while we're getting our keys to our room. And then later on, the baggage showed up in our room. So that was very nice. It was a good trip. It was actually a positive trip this time. So I came out ahead of my budget that I had for gambling and came back with more money than when I left. So that's always good. And you definitely don't discount that. That's really a great feeling when that happens. Trip number two, Atlantic City, and that was earlier this year. There was $100 admin fee, just like it was for the New Orleans trip. It included 3 nights and a chartered flight from Birmingham to Atlantic City. It was a direct flight, so that was nice. And everybody, this only flight was going to either Harrah's or Caesars and or the Tropicana, I believe. And we were Harrah's. It was right next to the Borgata, so that was actually very nice. One hack here to know is that Borgata is the MGM property. If you have Caesar's Diamond status, then you can status match at the Borgata to MGM Gold. And the nice thing about that is you can get to the Amphora Lounge if you're a Gold card member, and they have an awesome lounge. It does cost $12 for Gold card members, but it has a limited buffet, unlimited free cocktails and beers. When I was there, it had hot dogs, prime rib, gourmet soups, and a number of other things. So it was actually very good. We went back twice because $12 a person was actually cheap for anything that was out there. And it was very good food too. I was super pleased. And it was right next door to Harris there as well. This was a good trip. It was April when we went in Atlantic City. And if I went again, I would want to definitely go in the summertime. It was cold and rainy and was not something you enjoy going outside. They had another trip in June. I would have probably enjoyed that better. Also going to the beach and such. But that was not in for this trip because it was just cold and wet. I did not lose $1,200, but I was negative. I came back with less money than I brought, which is not ideal. But there again, I'm going to win because I'm getting more value for that trip than I expended out. So, anyway, it was a good time. We had a great time. And in that aspect, it is a winner, but I did come back with less money than I took with. But the third trip was Reno and Lake Tahoe. So that was in November, actually, of 2023. It's a little bit over a year ago. And it was 4 nights. It was not a chartered flight. They put us on a Southwest flight to Reno. And of course, the value of that is probably closer to about $500 round trip per person. It was 4 night in Reno, and I took a side trip. We got a free night at the Golden Nugget in Lake Tahoe. My wife had never been to Lake Tahoe before, so we rented a car. That was an additional expense. However, the rental car, I used my Capital One Venture X card, which also has insurance and everything else. But the nice thing is there's a $300 credit each year if you use the travel portal. So I actually rented the car through the travel portal, and they actually have very comparable value for the spend. And that worked out great. Basically, either one thing's free or the other. The credit card was free, or was it the rental that was free? Anyway, I got double value out. I got the Venture X card, and I got $300 off this rental. So you got to make sure you keep track of that. I do not have all mine in a spreadsheet now of all the benefits, but I think I need to do that. And maybe that's something we can work on together to get a spreadsheet that we can all share to make sure we don't lose those benefits. Keep track of cards that you have, the benefits that they have, and then when those benefits come available. Some are easy to find on their websites. Sometimes it's not, especially like for the every 4 years you get a either a TSA pre-check. They'll pay for the fee for that or a global entry fee. But it's hard to remember after 4 years. So you need to make sure you use that value when you get it. And when you renew, you know which card to use. And you can call them and they'll tell you, but it's obviously planning purposes. It's nice to keep that out there. I valued that trip at $1,600. That included really just the 4 nights in Reno and the airfare. It was a positive trip. So I came back with more money than I brought, which is always a double win because I got the value of the trip and some extra money to go into my gambling fund, which is always very good. So anyway, good into the comp strategy and the final takeaways. First of all, the overall value for all these trips was about $3,800. The cost was really just $300. Everything else, and now that doesn't include all the food and everything, but just $300. You should always match your gambling budget to the expense of the trip or the cruise or whatever, if you never exceed that budget, I think you're always a winner. Always track your results, keep it in a spreadsheet, make sure you know how much you're winning and losing and which games. It's good to go back and look at something and say, well, hey, maybe I should play this game more or play slot machines more or video poker or blackjack or craps or baccarat or whatever it is. I always keep track of it. Use your reward points wisely. Using reward points at a half cent a piece, I think that's a bad idea. I think using reward points for free play is also a bad idea because they also give you only 0.5 cents per point. So not ideal for sure. Playing blackjack, I think, is a winning strategy as long as you're playing good strategy, good playing by the book. If you go through and you're not doubling down in correct situations or not splitting when you should, then you're going to give more house advantage. Of course, casinos banking on that. They probably make more money in blackjack than anything else. It's a lot of money going through it. I'm not sure what that's the statistic. I know they make a lot of money in slot machines, obviously, and the expected value for each bet or the expected casino edge for each bet is usually 5 to 15% of each dollar that goes into a slot machine. So, for example, if you put $1 in the slot machine, statistically, that dollar is now worth 95 to 85 cents, which is, disheartening. And blackjack, it's worth about that $1 that you bet is worth about 99 cents. So there's the difference, and it's a huge difference. And this is key. And this is really where cards and comps, the name cards and comps came up. You need to stack the credit card points and the casino comps together in order to receive the maximum value. So that's pretty much it, guys. If you have any questions, please leave a comment below. I'll be happy to get back to you. If you like this content and you want to see more of it, hit the like button and please subscribe. Definitely like to get a community together that is like-minded and we can share these tips with each other. Also, be sure in the description below, there's a link to our newsletter. If you want to be notified when there's new emails that come out, if you're interested in getting the companion pass, which I think is the best value for Southwest Airlines, if you're flying with more than one person, or if you just want to take somebody with you once or twice a year, it's still a great value. So anyway, it's very exciting. I'm going to be earning it in 2026 and it'll be good through 2027. And if you want to follow along and do that with me, the newsletter is going to be your best tool because I'm going to let you know each stage and make sure that we earn the point at the right time so we'll maximize our value. So I've done this many times before and I'm going to do it again. And hopefully we can all follow along and do the same thing. Got any other questions, please leave them below. Hey, thanks for watching and please subscribe. Thank you.